Hello, welcome to Zeens and Roger, episode 46. This is a crochet vlogcast, if you will. My name is Rosina and I am a crochet designer coming to you from the southwest of the UK in my usual spot, in my living room, surrounded today by so much wool, so much yarn, so many projects, and I'm going to try and squeeze them all in because I split this episode. Last week I did the first half of the episode, and to be honest with you, it's all a bit of a blur. I can't remember half the stuff I talked about, but hopefully you watched it. And then I didn't do very many works in progress or finished objects, so I've got them all today. And then I've got loads of other stuff as well, lots of news. And I hope to share it all in a lovely succinct way. So grab your crochet or knitting and chill out for a bit. So I don't know whether to keep new stuff to the end or do it now. What do you reckon? I'll do it now because there's not loads of news things, it's just snippets. A couple of weeks ago I was asked if I was going to do a granny cowl for this year, because last year we did a granny crochet along. I think I started it in February last year, and that's coming up fast. When I was asked, it was about 2-3 weeks ago, and at the time I was just like, no, I do not want to do, I just can't be bothered. It's just, there's just too much going on, can't cope. Whereas in the last week or so I've been thinking about it, because it doesn't have to be a load of work. It could be sort of quite a relaxed crochet along. It doesn't have to be anything major, does it? I figured that what made it more work when I did the C2C cowl in the autumn was that I had 6 categories and I was running around trying to find prizes for the categories, and I was writing blog posts left, right and centre and liaising with yarn people and writing patterns and doing so much work. And I don't think that's necessary, because I want to have fun if I do a cowl as well as you guys. And so I think probably I'll tone it down a bit and make it less sort of official seeming. So watch this space. I'm thinking maybe March, because February's just around the corner, and I've got an idea for a pattern that I would actually quite like to do for it. A video tutorial probably. And yesterday I accidentally bought yarn which would work quite well for a pattern idea I've got. So watch this space for that. Yeah. And then also I would like to say thank you to Chrissy from Chrissy Crafts and Shana from Sweet Shana, who yesterday were fabulous, absolutely fabulous. We were messaging back and forth on Instagram, and they are amazing, and I just think it's brilliant that they can smell BS from miles away, and it warms my heart. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, women. I don't like the word lady. I don't know why I said it. Anyway, so thank you to them, and then others as well who were also brilliantly supportive. I had a big old Insta chat with quite a few people last night, just about what it's like to be a designer really, and the pitfalls of that. Whatevs, move on. Other news things. I'll do my giveaway. I'll do the giveaway that I mentioned last episode at the end, and then that's it. We're on to whips and FOs and stuff. Oh no, there's one more thing. You know, I said about should I go to Unravel or the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Well, I can't go to Unravel, and I am so cross. Literally, I could stamp my feet. I want to go, because I can't now, especially. It makes me want to go even more. I can't go to Unravel because it's the same weekend that I'm going away to Cardiff, because it's not an interesting tale, but we're going to Cardiff. My best friend's husband emailed my husband and said, do you want to go and see Fatboy Slim in February? This was 6 months ago. And my husband said, yes, I would like to go and see Fatboy Slim in February in Cardiff. And I was like, great, go, have a good time, enjoy yourself, woohoo, see ya. And then my best friend texted me and said, no, I'm going as well, you've got to come. And I was like, I don't really like Fatboy Slim that much. I mean, I'm not averse to Fatboy Slim, but neither has he ever been one of my favourite musicians, DJs, music peeps. So I was just like, but if you're going, I would look like a party pooper if I didn't go. So I said yes. And now I'm really annoyed because I'd rather go to Unravel and meet my yarny mates. Emma from Lulu Loves podcast. Oh, she was saying, oh, we could go to lunch and have wine and it'll be really great. And I can't do any of it. It's not fair. Stupid concert. Anyway, that means that I might well convince myself to go to Edinburgh in March. But I don't know if the tickets have sold out or not, because somebody was saying to me that they were going to wait to go on to pay on the door. And I think you can. But it's a risk, isn't it, to go all that way from one end of the island all the way up to nearly the top of the other. Not quite. It's quite a way to go, but I would go and visit my sister anyway, and Edinburgh's a very nice place anyway, so there'd be plenty to do even if I wasn't able to go to the Yarn Festival. Right. Finished objects. Finished object number 1 is a scarf. I knitted it, I think I finished it before Christmas, and it wasn't actually going to be for me. I knitted this for my sister-in-law, and then I got a message from her saying, by the way, this year let's just do presents for the kids. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep it then. What a shame. And then it turned out that she got me that Toft stuff. I think it's because she'd found it in a charity shop and went, oh yeah, I will get her. And then I felt really bad because I'd kept the present I'd made for her. Never mind, I wear it all the time, it's great, I love it. I bought the yarn at Yarndale in September. It's from Wool Couture, and it is a scarf in it's a knitted scarf in seed stitch or moss stitch. I think they're both the same sort of stitch, which is knit purl, knit purl, knit purl, knit purl, every row. And it is, I think it was 100 grams of the pink and 50 grams of the blue on, I don't know, 12mm needles perhaps, or maybe it was 10mm needles, can't remember. Chunky needles anyway. And yes, I remember saying that there are a few errors because there were a couple of spaces where it turns into a rib stitch where I don't stagger them. I obviously get confused quite easily, and with knitting I don't like ripping back when I've noticed a mistake. I just keep going and hope for the best. So that's my first finished object, and that was finished before Christmas, and it's lovely, I quite like that. Second finished object is this, which is it's just a pouch thingy for keeping bits in. It's empty at the moment, but I lined it with fabric that I love. I bought a fat quarter bundle from Hobbycraft ages ago, and it was lots of cool fabric in those colours. So it's lined, and it's a C2C rectangle that I've just folded the bottom up in the sewn, stitched up the sides, and that was the grid I drew in my book. It's not exactly the same as this chart because I ran out of colours as I went, and so I had to kind of swap and change about in bits and bobs in various places. sort of like that. It's not identical, but it's sort of close. And I just followed the chart for that. I did it when I was watching the literary, I can't remember what it's called now, the Potato Peel Pie. The Guernsey Literary Society and Potato Peel Pie. Oh, that film. I quite enjoyed it. I've read some reviews that said it was rubbish. I liked it, and this will forever remind me of it. Very simple project to do. My only other finished object is a sewing project. It's right, I've got one knitted, one crochet, one sewn. Quite like that. And it's a hook case. And this is another bit of fabric from the Hobbycraft bundle I bought. I wonder if they've got any more, because I would quite like it. But I don't just want a fat quarter of it, I'd like it by the metre or something. Could see me using that a lot. I used a fat quarter I bought from a shop in Exeter, and then just some poly cotton for the plain blue, because I needed a new hook case because I got a load of new hooks. In it I've also got this, which is my new hook measurer I bought from Amazon. It's so much easier when you've got crochet hooks with handles to just sort of slot them in this, because then you don't have to worry about the handles. Because if you've got another sort of gauge, I've got another one, I don't know where it is, but it's holes, so you poke, you know, a round hook through the hole. But if you've got a handle, you can't do that. So one of these is awesome. Just got it from Amazon. That lives in there. But I needed a new hook case, and I whipped this up very, very fast. The only thing I had to do was re-sew. I had to unpick the side and re-sew in my rickrack tie, because it turns out that this rickrack tie is made of plastic, and so that when I pressed my pouch, my holder hook case, I melted off the strands of rickrack, so I had to do that again. Whoops. But it looks good, doesn't it? It's the second hook case I've made, and the first one I used a tutorial for, and I went back to try and find it, and I found it via Pinterest the first time, and when I went back to the same picture that I'd pinned, the website was no longer available, and so I just looked at my old hook case and sort of worked it out from there. You just tie it closed like that, and that is my hook case. Within are some hooks that are handmade. I did not make these. A friend of mine made these. And this one, which I'm using right now in a project that I just started last night. I don't know when I had the idea to. Whoop, sorry about that. It's sort of, I'd seen the, is it Luca hooks? Is that what they're called? Ages ago, like possibly even up to a year ago, I was watching Quaylin's podcast. Hello. And he did a review of the Leica hooks, and they're all made out of beechwood, and they're stunning, they're beautiful, it's a very simplistic design, but I was just like, I want those. But I think to buy a set it's about £90 in the UK, and I don't have £90. But I do have a mate down the road who has a turner thing, so you can turn wood. And I was like, can you make me a... I got very drunk at New Year's Eve and asked him if he'd make me some. And he was like, yeah, all right then. And so, sort of, through a few conversations and stuff like that, we've worked out a nice hook. Don't know if you can see that. I have to take some photographs so you can see them properly. But they're all different. These are his. This one I stood and directed, but then it broke, so it's slightly squat. at the hook end when it shouldn't be. And then they've come through various forms, but I think that I like them. I think they're smashing. And then I did some of my own as well, because I couldn't decide, because I've also seen Knitbrooks who does the whittled hooks out of tree branches, twigs. And oh my goodness, they are stunning. I love them. I don't know which I love more, the whittled ones or the turned ones. They're both gorgeous, and there's quite a few people that do them actually. If you go on Etsy, or if you look for crochet hooks, handmade crochet hooks on Instagram, there are quite a few sellers who have their own interpretations of them. There's also a lady, I think she's called Jess Rippendale. I'll put links to these in the show notes. She makes them out of driftwood, so I thought I'd get my butt down to the beach and find some driftwood, because I'd been advised that actually driftwood is probably quite an easy place to start, because the wood is quite easy to carve, it's dry, and I'm less likely to slice my fingers off. So I whittled myself some hooks. I haven't actually used them because I don't think they're good enough. They're all right. I mean, I whittled them and then I sanded them, but my twigs are a bit rubbish. I mean, it just looks like firewood. I don't know. I think I need something a bit fresher than, because these were all found on the beach. This one was so soft, it's almost like balsa wood. I mean, it's like light as a feather, and I don't actually know if that would benefit me when I'm crocheting. But it's good fun. It kills your fingers. I made all these 3 in one evening, and by the end of it my fingers hurt, and I blunt my knife, and my knife sharpener is pants, so I've got a blunt knife now. I need to grind their bottoms flat. I might sort of saw off a centimetre or 2. But I mean that's quite, I know you can't see properly, but that's quite fine. I wonder if I were to get my, I've made myself a 4.5. That's impressive. I don't know how I managed that. Defo a 4.5. But they're too big to fit in my new case. They're too tall. So I'll probably need to sew another case. Or I could put them in my Tunisian crochet hook case, which I made last year. I don't know. So I'd like to do more. I'd like to perfect my technique so that they're good and proper. These ones are brittle as. They are not gonna go the distance if you, I probably need to treat them in oil. That might help, but I'm pretty clueless. I don't know what I'm doing. It's just like sat in the kitchen hacking away, and then when I got bored of that I brought a bowl into the living room and sat and watched telly whilst I did it. But you have to be careful because I inhaled bits of sawdust into my lungs and it got into my eyes, and that didn't feel very nice. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm working on. One of my first works in progress is right at the beginning, but it's what I'm using my hook for. And it's the zigzag jumper by Yarn Family, and it's a top-down sweater. So this is going to be this bit, but I'm, as you can see, right at the beginning, and I've already gone wrong because I think I've got one stitch too many all of a sudden. I'm going to have to reread the pattern and try and get my head around it a bit, because I shouldn't have gone wrong so early on. I just shouldn't have. I tell you what you need to do is you need to have your Yarn Family thing on the front page, not at the back. We need to be able to see who's done it. But that's the jumper I'm making. And I've bought the same yarn. It's It's here. It is the Women's Institute yarn. It's from Hobbycraft, and I placed the order on Wednesday. It's now Friday. I placed it on Tuesday and it arrived yesterday, so 2 days. It's Friday today. So it arrived in 2 days. I spent 40 quid and I got I have no idea what I got for that. Like 6 or 7 balls of grey. I've chosen to do my contrast zigzag in 5 different colours, not 6 or even 7. I think you need, because you use the bottom with a different colour again, and I'm not going to do that. My bottom's going to be grey. And then I've ordered about 6 other balls as well to make some more projects with. It's 3 for 2, I think, from Hobbycraft. So I didn't think that was too bad. It will be like 30 quid for a jumper, probably less than that. Which I don't think's bad at all, especially as I'll probably have plenty left over to make lots of other things with. So yeah, I think probably I'll frog back to row 1 and try and work it out again. Maybe it's because I was too busy watching telly. We'll see. I shouldn't have gone wrong so early on, should I? So that's my first whip. And the hook is very good, thank you. Yeah, it's working well. I have been sent a crochet kit from Wool and the Gang. I've used Wool and the Gang yarn before and it's always been really nice, and well, this is no different. They've just released New Wave yarn, I think it's called, and the funny story is that they sent me the knit kit instead of the crochet kit, and so I thought, well, I'm a knitter now, I can knit it. And so I started, and actually I learned a new stitch. I think this is called the double wrap stitch. I only did 1 row of it, but I was well impressed. I was like, look at me go with my new knitting skills. But whilst I was doing this, I had actually emailed the person at Wool and the Gang who I talked to, and I'd said, oh, am I supposed to have gotten the knit kit, because it's called a different, the bag pattern I got is called something different to the one I thought it was called. And they immediately put the extra tools in the post for me. So it's 1 extra ball of yarn and a crochet hook and the crochet pattern for the Shoreline bag. And so I put this to one side and I've started the crochet kit. I kept this so I could show you and look at it and go, hoo hoo hoo. I know it's very simple, but to me, this is an achievement. It's a fancy stitch, not just a knit and a purl. It's a fancy knitting stitch. So, I mean, come on. And it also means that I've got some size 8mm knitting needles, which I didn't have before. So I can knit some stuff. So here is my crochet so far. And this is called the Shoreline bag. And I've just started the bottom because there's a back loop only row here somewhere, so I can bend that and that'll become a bottom as I work. So this is the side of the bag, so it's going to look, it's not going to be like that shape and then have handles, but it's got quite a bit of opening up that it can do once I've finished and once it's got stuff in it. But I really like it. I think it's going to be a good bag. And I've chosen green because green is my favourite colour. I'm wearing my special green cardie today, which is hand knit, but not by me. My mother-in-law did it. I definitely had a child. He must have been about 18 months. We're talking sort of 8.5 years I've had this for. I remember this is Rowan, it's an Aran weight Rowan yarn. That's all I can remember, but it is the most glorious green you have ever seen. But I like literally for ages I was searching for a green. I remember I'd found the knitting, I'd found the cable knit cardigan pattern I wanted. I don't know what this is, it might well be a Rowan as well. Can't remember. But it's old. I'd have been on the hunt for a decent green yarn for ages, and I didn't really know much about yarn at the time. I was solely just acrylic double knit all the way at that point, because I'd probably only been crocheting for about 3 months, or maybe I hadn't even started. It won't be until like October this year that I'll have been crocheting for 9 years exactly. So I might have just been on the cusp, I can't remember, I don't know. Why am I talking about this anyway? But I got a bit fat in the intervening years and stopped wearing it because it didn't fit. And then in the last few months it started to fit again. So I've been wearing it because it's super warm. It's proper wool and very, very warm. But skills, hey, I could never do that. No, I'm not going to say that. I totally could if I practiced, but right now my skill set is not this. But it's got a funny, like, I'm not sure I'm keen on that because this is supposed to go. It's by the by. And I've got my Shirley rainbow brooch on as well. And I don't normally wear brooches, but I thought it went well. Right, so I've still got this on my lap. I want to get rid of the knitting. And we're talking about the crochet. This yarn is it's not just bog standard yarn, it's fancy recycled yarn. The inside is plastic and the outside is a cotton mesh. So it's sort of like, this is, I think the idea is that this is supposed to be like fisherman's netting. And it totally is like, it's got that spirit without actually being a fisherman's net. So if I were to get out so this bag's 5 balls that look like this, and each ball is 100 grams. There's 3 plastic bottles in this yarn. You get 3 plastic bottles per 100 grams that have been wazzed up and turned into yarn. And I think the idea is that they're reusing the plastic that we have, just that's otherwise going to go to waste, and turning it into something useful again. And when you have finished, say for example, you don't want your bag anymore because you wore a hole in it after many years of use. I don't know. You can separate the plastic from the cotton and then recycle those. You can buy the cotton on the compost heap and then put the plastic in the recycling. I don't know if all recycling centres would take this sort of plastic, but there is the potential for it to be recycled. But I've just snipped this, but because what you do is when you use it, you tie a knot in the end to stop it fraying, because what it wants to do is separate, I think is what they said. So you can just sort of literally pull them apart like that in no time at all. So yeah, it's an interesting construction, but one that is brilliant for bags. And as I said, I mistakenly got sent one bag, the knitting bag, which I reckon I could have done. But I actually did like the crochet bag better. It's more my style, and I wanted it. So I'll let you know how that goes. The only thing I will say is that, because Wool and the gang are dead keen on sort of being environmentally sound, so that you get it in a paper bag, and you get wooden needles and you get recycled yarns, which is what they did. I think the first time I got sent stuff, it was what did they? It was plant-based, wasn't it? A plant-based yarn. Tencel. What's tencel again? Is it eucalyptus? It's crazy. The only thing I will say is that this is the polythene bag for the crochet hook, and this is the polythene bag for the knitting needles. I don't think they're needed. You don't need that. So if all the kits go out with some plastic, then I think I'll mention that. I'll mention that to them. But so far, it's all been brilliant. And I'm looking forward to that being finished. Whoops. Respecting the bag there. So yeah, it's all wooden. But I'll be honest, I'm not using their hook. I'm using one of my metal 5mm just because it's quicker and slides off the yarn more easily. I don't know what it is. There's something about this tip that I'm not accustomed to. Next, I am making, what should I tell you about next? I'll tell you about my mitts, shall I? I'm so far behind on these, so far behind. They're very, very, it's very tiny yarn. So I'm using a 2.5mm hook, and I'm making some wrist warmers. I've got a feeling that I think they'll be alright, but I'm going to have to work out some bigger sizes because these are for twig wrists, and you have to you wriggle them on, and it's going to be a wrist warmer that's going to go up to here. But this took ages because it's so fine. But that's the idea. I want a really delicate, beautiful pattern rather than my usual sort of clumsy tricks. This is John Arbon 4-ply Exmoor sock yarn. And I'm using a dainty stitch, which is most unlike me. Let me show you if I've got my prototype. My prototype is made using 4-ply knit by numbers, which is plumper than the Exmoor 4-ply. But this is the idea. It will look something like this, but be slightly more, there'll be slightly more stitch definition with the Exmoor. It's brand spanking new. From John Arbon, as I've said. And they sent me 3 skeins so I could have a play and work up my design. It's not like a partnership or anything like that. I'm not collaborating with them with the pattern for this, but they were just very generous and sent me 3 skeins to make these mitts. These are the other colours you can get. It's very hardy, and I've seen on their Instagram that they've had lots of people design some beautiful socks. Knitting mostly. I don't think I've seen much crochet so far, but I hope that there will be some crochet designs that pop up using the Exmoor sock 4-ply. They're 50g skeins, not 100g skeins, but that's good for socks and mitts. It is 60% Exmoor Blueface, 20% Corriedale, 10% Warbles and 10% nylon, and apparently the wool is superwash treated, so that's good, isn't it? And John Arbon are, I was going to say up the road from me, but that's technically not true because Devon is like the 2nd largest county in the UK, and they're at the top of Devon and I'm at the bottom of Devon, and there's about an hour and a half in between, so an hour and a half isn't just up the road, is it? But I'm hoping to get these finished soon because I want to see them made up. I'm quite excited. I think it'll be quite good. There's quite autumnal. These are quite autumnal colours. What have I got here? Aggie and Bell Heather. And I kind of like looking at the other colours. Well, I do it every time. Oh, I should have chosen those ones. Oh, they look good together. And then you see somebody else using 2 different shades and you go, oh, they look better than the ones I chose. That's the same as when you go out for dinner. You see somebody else's meal and you go, oh, I should have ordered that. But your own meal is completely delicious anyway. Right. So that's one project, and I've started this late. I was supposed to start that about 2 weeks ago, and I didn't. I started it maybe 2 days ago. But it's a sort of thing where I'd like to do a few rounds and then stop and move on to something else. Next whip. Is a jumper. It looks a bit small, doesn't it, actually? I think it might be a bit. I might have underestimated my my girth. Bum. I didn't even. Why don't I look at these things and work them out? No. When it comes to garment making, I've got no idea. This is the trouble with my technique, which is essentially fly by the seat of your pants. Wing it and hope for the best. Maths, sums, I don't need those. Probably do. 43 centimetres. I might have to make it for a smaller person. We'll see. Anyway, it's the beginnings of a jumper. What do you reckon? I've been calling it the Rapture jumper, but it won't be called Rapture because the shawl I made is called Rapture, but it's the same interlocking technique down the bottom, which will be on the cuffs and around the neck as well. This is the bottom of a jumper. It's all I've made. This is blocked because it was curling tremendously, as interlocking crochet is wont to do. Yeah, I like it, but I kind of lost enthusiasm for it along the way, because I don't know. I think it'll be all right actually. It's maybe I just need a break from it. I haven't done very much. Is that all right? This is like a nep, a yarn with a nep in it, so it's got nice little chunks of colour, and this is not a nep. I should probably persevere, shouldn't I? I was thinking about calling it High Tide. The High Tides jumper. What do you reckon? Because it's I could have called it The Tide is High, Blondie song, because Rapture and One Way or Another are 2 other interlocking projects I've done, and so to connect them all, we're going with a Blondie theme. But High Tides sounds better than The Tide is High. And I've earmarked Atomic for another project, which is going to be I think my all-time ultimate favourite interlocking crochet project, but I haven't even started trying to work out that one. A future design that I'm worried about starting because I think it's going to be either amazing or shockingly ugly. I don't know. I'm kind of putting it off and putting it off. It's been something that I've been thinking about for the best part of a year, and I'll get the jumper done first. But it's annoying because I've also got 2 more jumper ideas. I did any. It annoys me that you get one idea and you go, I'll work on that, and then you get something else popping into your head and you want to work on that instead. Can somebody please just tell me to rein it in a bit? On my project bag I have, what's making the noise is a sweater project button badge from Claude's. This is the Crochet Luna one, and it says sweater project because this is indeed a sweater project. Or jumper if you're in the UK. I just need to go back to John Arbon again for a second because I forgot. I've also been working on a couple of shawls, which I hope will be sort of like a partnership thing with them. Oh, it smells really good. Right. I've got 2 different versions of this. And I asked on Instagram the other day for a name. And I need to go through all the comments because there are a couple of good ones that I might choose, because I don't have a name for this chap at the minute. It is a new triangle shawl. And I'm not quite done, because I need to do a simple border that I've started. I just need to do one more row of something, and I'm not quite sure yet what that something is. That's the other side, a slightly thicker band of colourful stripes. And this is a knit by numbers shawl, and this is the double knit by numbers, and you can buy 25-gram minis, which is what these are, so that you don't actually need to buy a whole skein if you want to add flashes of colour in the shawl, which I thought was pretty nifty. So I do have lots of these minis, and yeah, I got sent this yarn for free, so I'm going to write up the pattern, get it tech edited, tested, and then hopefully John Arbon themselves will want to display this at yarn festivals and things, and maybe sell the pattern on my behalf. And I can't remember exactly how it works. I'm not business savvy at all. I just want to make the things. But I'm making it in a different version also. And this is the thing, it smells stunning. Like, if you think sheep smells nice, then it smells stunning. It's just it's just beautiful. So this is like a different, it's the same, it's exactly the same, but without the minis, and a deeper coloured edging border. It smells like it is a sheep. This is Exmoor's Warbles, I think. Or is it just Warbles? Warbles. I haven't got the label. It's a different yarn. It's double knit. It's a John Arbon yarn again, and this is a more rustic woolly wool. But I don't object to that against my skin at all. But it's one of those ones where I know people would. But I think it's perfectly alright. It's very, very warm, and it smells. Sorry, how many times do I have to say it? It's lovely. So that one hasn't got the last edging on it either. I think I've got two more rows of that one to go. Haven't written it up yet, but I will be probably. And this one's three skeins of 100 grams of the Warbles. I think it's Exmoor's Warbles. There's 3 natural tones of this one, of which I'm using 2. I've got 2 skeins of this colour and 1 skein of this, which will make the shawl. I think I'm going to use that testing pool on Ravelry at some point in the near future to try and get testers that way. What I think, I mean, if you want, yeah, I will let you know when in a roundabout way when I plan on doing that, so that if you want to test, if you fancy testing this, then I will put the link, the Ravelry link, in the show notes. But it has to be made with John Arbon yarn. It can't be any old double knit. The stipulation on that one is that any testers that are interested must purchase John Arbon yarn, and there will be a discount for doing that. And so I'm going to put it in the testing pool on Ravelry, which I've never done before, but I think in this case that's what I'm going to do. And I think because John Arbon is, well, actually it is, you can buy it in the States, can't you? I think there's a couple of suppliers. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm going to do. At the moment, this is being tested, which is Waking Winter. I've got 3 testers, I think. It's being tech edited as we speak as well, so this is soon to be launched. Oh, it's pretty, isn't it? Keep your eyes peeled. I don't think it'll be this week, but it'll be probably next week. Only like 6 weeks later than planned. It will be released. But yeah, it's being tested at the minute, and somebody's finished and somebody's just started, and I think the other person is getting stuck in as well, can't remember. But there was a massive, I made a massive cock up at that, because I didn't tell anybody the best way of getting in touch. And so I got loads of comments on that YouTube video when I talked about getting it tested. And I replied to every comment to say, please can you send me an email? And I got about 8 emails, and I ignored them all for about 5 weeks because of stuff. And then when I was finally ready to actually do it and I'd written it, then I emailed all of those people, and 3 people got in touch. Because the other people were probably cross with me for not actually pulling my finger out. So I messed that up, and I'm really sorry. But the last few weeks have been shocking. So I messed up. So that's one of the reasons why I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to do the testing pool this time, because last time I just made a huge boo-boo of the whole situation. But this one, yeah, soon be ready. So I'm really sorry that I've kept you waiting this long, but I will tell you when it is released. I promise. So those are all my works in progress and my finished objects that I've been doing over the last few weeks. It feels like there's quite a lot. Right, let's see. Talked about that, yeah. Right, there's a few more things to talk about and then we're done. I thought I'd finished with my whips. I haven't. I've got another one. Well, actually, I'm being quite selective because unbelievably there are things that I'm going to have to leave out. Otherwise we'll be here forever, and the idea of splitting the episodes was that it wouldn't be forever. But I can't believe I nearly forgot to talk about this. One that has not been wound, the other one that has, and I have got this far into the frost shawl. I am breaking some rules. I have changed something. Not only am I making it in 4-ply and not double knit, but I've changed the shaping just a little bit because of the nature of the yarn, because it's 4-ply and therefore quite thin. If I were to make it in the way that Hannah has made it, I thought that maybe I've got smaller yarn, so it would be smaller and wouldn't wrap around my neck, so I could wear it scarf styly. So I have added some more increases at the ends to make it a slightly less deep shawl, and it's going to be a shallow one instead. So it's called the Frost Shawl, and it's by Hannah of the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast. And it's doing alright, but it's very much going to be something that I pick up and put down as and when, rather than something I work on religiously. I think it's going to be a good one. I knew that though, didn't I? I knew that. Of course it's going to be a good one. It's a fantastic design. So that was my... I can't believe should be ashamed of myself for nearly forgetting that one because it's a stunner. Long dog yarn, which I talked about last time. And I'll keep you updated as and when, but I can't believe it. So yeah, there's that. And then some other bits. So giveaway I need to do. I was going to talk to you about the Making Things app as well. Have you heard of Making Things? I think it originates in Australia, but that doesn't matter, it's international. It is a pattern subscription for knitting and crochet patterns. Where's my... This hook was made by Melody of the Melody Crochet podcast, and I'm making one of my John Arbon. I'm using it for one of my John Arbon shawls. Oh, I forgot to put it away. Put it back. I have uploaded some of my patterns to the Making Things app. You pay a you pay a monthly subscription fee. I think it's $11, probably about a tenner UK money a month, and you can access like 1,500 patterns, as many as you like, as often as you like, within reason, because you're never going to be able to make all of those patterns. But I just thought you might be interested, because I will be adding more of my patterns on there. That's one of my goals for the next sort of few months, is to add more patterns online. So designs that have been featured in magazines I need to upload to Ravelry and Love Crochet, the Making Things app. They're all patterns that you think you're going to be able to just sort of pick up the written pattern that you typed out to submit to the magazine and just put it into a template for turning into a PDF to sell on Ravelry. It's not that simple, it takes longer than that, and therefore it is always something that I put off doing. But I've got one way or another to do. Hinterland will be coming up soon. That is Nordic Noir from Molly Makes issue 98. Leaping Waves at some point will be added. I'm trying to think of all the shawls that I haven't actually. There's little things as well that I could do as freebies online on my blog. Just things like the little ruffle rose brooch, for example, in one of the issues of Inside Crochet magazine. It all needs to be updated and sorted, and I haven't done it, and that's one of my main goals for this year, is to get up to speed on everything and make sure that I've got as much out there as possible. But the Making Things app is one of those platforms where I want to be. And at the moment 5 of my patterns are on there. Off Your Rocker, Release the Hounds, Rapture, Emergence of Spring. There's another one, Harvest Moon. I will be adding more on. And Deanne from Addy Day Designs has her designs on the Making Things app, as does 11 Handmade, made by Hayley Bailey, The Hook Nook, to name but a few. There are more. There's a Veronica of Blue Star Crochet, who is featured in crochet magazines quite a lot. Oh gosh, there are loads, and I can't remember anybody else. I'd written down a short list, but there are loads more. So do go and have a look and consider getting yourself a subscription, because I think it's worth it. I think it sounds good. Let's do the giveaway, shall we? So I thought this was a lovely thing, and there was lots of lovely. I kept it in a plastic doodah so that it didn't get mucky. Last episode I showed you this granny cowl. It's a very simple cowl that I made using 100% merino wool, and I offered to give it away to somebody that you had nominated because you thought they deserved a treat. And so what I've done is put them all in a cup. So there weren't like loads and loads of entries. so it didn't take me very long just to write down the names. I thought it was just easier than random number generator, because all those nominations were smattered in amongst sort of other comments where there were no nominations, so that was the easiest thing to do. And there were lots of you that nominated other podcasters, which is great. And then I just hope you know how to get this to them if they win. I don't know what to do. Should I just pick one? I've got one. I've got one. I have picked out Jenny Miller, and she nominated her mum. Her mum deserves a treat. I can't remember why, because I didn't write the reasons down. But she did give a reason. I know that much. And I don't want to like jump to conclusions by saying the reason why, because there are a few that I'm thinking, oh, it could have been that one, and I don't want to get it wrong. But just to show that it's not a scam. Not that it would be. Why do I? It's got nothing to do with me. They're all different. Odd but nice. Nominated somebody. Tabitha's Treasures nominated somebody. Etc. etc. We've got Killy Loves Amies has nominated somebody. Oh, you nominated Hannah from Cozy Cottage Crochet. Oh. So I better keep that one up. Right, so Jenny Miller, please get in touch with me and I will send you the cowl so you can give it to your mummy. Right, I think we're done. I think this might be quite a long one, so sorry about that. Good job I did split it up, hey? Next time, my usual podcast date falls on the funeral, which is basically in 2 weeks' time. I don't know whether I'll record a day early or a few days late. I'm not sure. So I'll see you when I see you. Right, hope you're all right. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Cheerio, bye bye.